As a leader, do you want to be able to understand and manage people better? If so, watch this video. This video is actually focused on the idea of confirmation bias and what that means. But that's fundamental because basically everybody carries this bias or this heuristic. And so here we go. So have you noticed that people's willingness to compromise has went down as universal access to the internet went up? Obviously, you have to be a certain age, like my age or about 50 something, maybe a little older, to actually have recognized this because we were pre-internet. Also, have you noticed that it seems that everybody knows more or knows everything, but agrees with others less? This is also part of the same thing. And this is due, as I've already let the cat out of the bag, it's not just your imagination, it's confirmation bias, social media, and algorithms that are designed to amplify it. So let's face it, when you get on Google and you want to look something up like, I like Dutch licorice, well, it's going to show you sites of all the things about like and Dutch licorice, because that's what you're looking for. So it's only giving you stuff that you agree with, stuff that you want to see. So it amplifies the whole idea of that natural tendency of people to pay attention to and confirm. That's why it's a confirmation bias. Confirm what they believe they know, and what they know and what they believe, or what they believe they know. So let me give you some examples here of this. Everyone knows people's attention spans are shorter than goldfish at about 8 seconds. Everyone knows that people have different learning styles. Everyone knows you should always trust your gut, and that gluten is bad for everyone, except none of those things are true. I'm not going to put links in today because it's late in the day. It's almost 2 a.m. local time. I'm just not going to do it. I'll put them in later, but I will put evidence to the crazy things I'm saying because they're not crazy. They're scientific truths that have been well established. So none of those things actually happened. The study that proves that our attention spans were 8 seconds long never happened. Literally, the research never occurred. I'll give you a link to that just so you can check it out for yourself. The other one is learning styles. Oh, you're a visual learner or an auditory learner. Learning styles don't exist. Sorry to tell you, I'm a teacher. I've been doing this a really long time. And for most of it, until I read Adam Grant's Think Again, I thought learning styles existed too, until I read his book and was convinced in one book or one chapter by the evidence he presented about, oh, now I see how it could seem like learning styles exist and yet have them completely not exist, scientifically speaking, right? So another one is you should only trust your gut. Well, you should only trust your gut when you're an expert with extensive experience or knowledge making similar judgments. So if you're an expert at it, sure, trust your gut. If you're not an expert and you don't have lots of practice, like parking your car, if you park your car all the time, your judgment for parking your car and trusting your gut as to the distance, you're fine. But everything else, something you're not familiar with, something you don't have expertise and lots of practice at, don't trust your gut, trust your brain. That's what the research tells us. Oh yes, and there's that whole thing about gluten. Actually, gluten is only bad, or perhaps even dangerous, I'm not sure, if you have gluten, if you have celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity, and that's a small percentage of the total population, less than 10%. I think it's around 6%. I don't remember exactly. But gluten is actually a staple protein in the vegan world. It's called seitan, where you just use gluten and you use it as a meat replacement. And it's only missing one amino acid called lysine. So if you put soy sauce with it or cook it in soy sauce, you're covered. And this is basically a staple food for Buddhist monks here in Japan. And I believe most of Asia, because remember, Buddhist monks are vegan. They do not eat meat and they still need to get protein. So apparently not everybody, and I can tell you for myself, I've eaten large chunks, like a pound of gluten, like cooked gluten. It's like meat. I've eaten a pound of cooked gluten. I was fine. I've eaten literally pounds of it in the same day, and I'm fine. No problems at all. So that's not true. But fear not. If you don't accept any of what I've said, go on the internet and you can find thousands of sites, usually by self-proclaimed experts, telling you why gluten is bad for everybody. Trust your gut always. And all those things I said are completely wrong. You can find it. That's the problem with the internet, is you can find stuff to confirm your belief. Remember, there's millions of people, actually probably more people today than 20 years ago, who believe the earth is not round. I don't know if they've looked in the sky, but strangely, all the other planets are round. So why would Earth be different? Anyway, this is what confirmation bias is. It's the universal or near universal tendency for us to selectively seek out or remember and support things we already believe or things we already know. And to, at the same time, selectively forget, ignore, or defend against any information that disproves or disconfirms what we believe. That is what makes it confirmation bias. So the internet, as I've already sort of described to you, the algorithms are quite literally designed to bring you more and more and more and more of everything you want, everything that agrees with what you agree with, what you want to see. So you feel good, so you stay on and buy more crap. That idea that the internet is a confirmation bias echo chamber was first brought to my attention by Neil deGrasse Tyson. I took his course about scientific reasoning, I think it was, from the master classes, and he talked about that. It's true. It's so true. So here's the thing: as a manager, as a leader, oftentimes if somebody believes something, no matter how ridiculous it may be, no matter how much evidence there may be contrary to it, trying to push them to change their mind or their behavior tends to be counterproductive. You know, you can say, do it whether you believe it or not, or you're fired. It's not an ideal sort of workplace culture, but sometimes that's what's necessary. Sometimes people need to be kicked off the bus. In fact, from my very favorite book I keep talking about, Huggy Rao, in that book, Scaling Up Excellence, talks about a very strict no asshole rule if you want your company to have a great culture. Regardless of their rank, kick their ass off the bus if they are going to be really difficult and refuse to change. But barring that, and in many situations, both in personal relationships and, you know, all business relationships, including your reports, are personal relationships of some type. There's only one thing I know that's actually probably really, really effective at having people change their minds. Telling people they're wrong, giving them all the proof in the world. As a friend of mine, Suzanne, would say, people don't change their minds, and they don't. The only people who can change people's minds, especially if they're entrenched in their beliefs, is them. Now, there's a brilliant technique that comes out of psychology and counseling, which I only discovered in recent years as a coach, when I had a particular client who was really intransigent, and clearly he wouldn't do what he needed to do to change his life. And it got my attention that, well, giving them always proof oftentimes doesn't work. So I looked into this, and it's called motivational interviewing. I'm only going to introduce the term because we're already out of time. I will define it and put the links to all this stuff I've been talking about today in the description and right there, depending where I talk about it in the video. But that's it for now, other than to say motivational interviewing has enormous potential in leadership development, HR, and change management. And that's why we're talking about it in my leadership videos. That's it for Crush It Club 127, How to Manage People Better. My name is Tim B. Green. Bye for now.